Good morning again, November 24th. As promised, we're doing another video today on planting our wheatgrass. I said that we were going to leave our wheatgrass in the container until the 25th. I even actually wrote that down on my sheet, on my thing here, because I like to tell myself when I plant my wheatgrass, so I'm going to have to change that to the 24th. I decided to do it a little earlier this time. As you can see in there, the wheatgrass is well on its way. Usually looks a little more spider-like when I do it, but it's a little harder to spread out and they pop around like spiders. This is the cheesecloth that I said that I put on top with just an elastic band. That way I don't have to take it off. I can just pour the water in or out through here. I can reuse the cheesecloth. I just wash it in some vinegar and hang it to dry, and you can reuse it again. It's very cheap to buy cheesecloth. You can buy it at any grocery store because it's used for a lot of stuff, and it comes in a roll, and you just cut the pieces off that you need, and like I said, you can reuse it, or if you really want to, you can throw it away. I like to reuse things. So again, I'm doing this a day early. You can leave it for 3 days. It does get a little more spider-like, but whatever your choice is, it doesn't hurt it to leave it for 3 days. I think I once left it for 4 days and it still turned out really well. And I find the less time it's in the dirt, the less chance of mold. So this is a piece of styrofoam insulation that I cut when we did our room. I decided that this would be an ideal thing to use as a top for all of my stuff. I also use it to tamp down the dirt. That way I don't need two things, and I have less stuff when I'm planting on my table. So I fill this up so it's just level at the top, but a lot of dirt. I level it off in my dirt container, which I'll show you another video. And then I take the cover that I've made so it just fits inside the tray, and I push down on it because that makes it easier to plant on a surface that's nice and flat. And I just take it off and I put it aside. We reuse these all the time. We just wash them off. We can wipe them off with some vinegar and water, or some 3% hydrogen peroxide mix if you want, food grade hydrogen peroxide. But yeah, we wipe these down after we take them off when the germination is finished. So that's that part, and this is a 1-inch tray, as you see. I have tried the regular trays, which are, I think they're about 2 inches, these ones. I have tried using just these. I don't like the deeper tray for microgreens or wheatgrass. One, you have to use far too much dirt. You don't need that much dirt. And two, if you don't use that much dirt, then you're planting way down here, which again, especially with high prone kinds of seeds like wheatgrass that has mold, or is prone to mold, I should say, if the dirt is down here and the seeds are down here, your circulation and airflow is not going to be as good, because wheatgrass gets really bushy. So you need to keep the tops of your grass level with the tops of your tray. Okay, so that's what I found. So we take the 1-inch tray and we place it into the regular sized 2-inch tray. And I water that dirt in because, again, it's easier to seed the dirt if it doesn't move around, because you've really got to move your dirt around. This is the kelp mixture again. Talking to Mums, the lady at Mums that does all their research, Mums Seeds, she was saying that the kelp helps to reduce mold and gives the plants a little bit more boost. So like I said, I water this down, water the dirt in, just like you would be if you were planting in your garden. You want to get the dirt wet so that the seeds are sitting in a moist environment. And like I said, with the amount of seeds that you put on this, it's much easier to spread the seeds when it's wet. Again, we then lift that back up to the table. And I did rinse these this morning already. I like to rinse them one last time before I put them into the soil. So I just pop that off. I try to make sure that there's no grass on here. When they're a little more leggy, spider-like, they tend to stick into here a little bit more. And as you can see, all of them are well on their way. You don't have to be super gentle with the seed. The little root ends don't fall off. You can be quite, I'm not the nicest, gentlest person. I can tell you my Rob is more gentle than I am. He's always telling me, oh, don't be so hard on them. So I do this, and I just sprinkle them across, and I'm not in it, right? Then I just take my hand and I spread them out. Another reason why seeds, like you'll have a tray that is patchy, is because it isn't planted evenly. If there's no seeds in a spot, nothing's gonna grow. I know that sounds like a really, are you serious kind of thing, but I guess it's sometimes not any different than, and I've been guilty of this. You phone a repair person for your computer and they said, well, is it plugged in? And you're like, oh, really? Was I that stupid? And I know I'm not alone in this world. A lot of people do stuff like that. We're not immune to moments of
simple solutions.
Yeah, we're not immune to moments of I'm going to just say it, stupidity, okay? You'll find over the times with these videos, I can be a very blunt person. I do apologize if I offend anybody. Not my intention. I just sometimes say it like it is, and some people get offended, and I apologize now. So yeah, now I'm just wiping out the seeds out of the jar.
How much do you use? How much do you soak?
This is 1.5 cups. I do anywhere from 1 1/3 to 1.5. I get the best. I get the best yield from that. Reduce, no mold. You get more juice at the end. And the funny thing is I've grown more wheatgrass, I think, than anything else, because we actually use our wheatgrass as well as selling it. So I have to grow stuff for us and people who buy it. So I do a lot of wheatgrass. And the funny thing with it is my dry weight grass, like when I harvest the grass, I usually get anywhere from 10 ounces to just a little over 11 ounces of the grass, okay? And it doesn't seem to matter if I get 10 ounces of grass or 11 ounces of grass. I tend to get the same amount of juice off of those trays. So the 1 ounce of the actual grass isn't any much difference. There isn't a huge difference in the juice yield. We have tried doing the regrowth of wheatgrass. We haven't had any luck doing a second growth because mold does appear. I have tried spraying down the mold with a hydrogen peroxide vinegar mix, which does not hurt the grass if it's a mild mix. It has not stopped the second growth mold. I do not get mold on my first growth, but I have not been lucky with second growth on my grass. So at this stage, if you can see, it's pretty much covered. Sometimes your edges are a little thinner than the center because it's a little, you know, hard to get, you can't get perfect, but you see how it's piled on top of one another? Like it's really thick, right? The grass is like the seed is just piled in there. That's okay. I've tried different along the way with the grass. I've tried reducing my seed. I've planted 1 cup. I've planted 3/4 of a cup. I've divided the 1.5 cups into 2 trays in my attempt to fight the mold with wheatgrass. I don't get mold anymore, but in my beginning, I did have to fight with it. Reducing the seed doesn't do anything, and you don't get enough juice to do anything. So stick with the 1 1/3 to 1.5 cups of grass seed, dry grass seed. Okay. I do a 10-minute a 10-minute thing where I put hydrogen peroxide and water in with the wheatgrass to kill any bad bacteria, but unfortunately it does tend to kill good bacteria too. But everybody you talk to or see that does wheatgrass does that. So at this stage, because my seeds are piled, to reduce the mold, I have taken to covering my seeds. I have said that in other videos that I've done. So what I do is I just sprinkle it on. These, the wheatgrass, peas, sunflower, the bigger seeds, you can take your dirt and just kind of do this. If you have the smaller seeds, I don't soak my smaller seeds because they are so fine. You cannot take your hand, as you're going to see what I do later. You can't do what I'm about to do because the seeds move around. But these are wet seeds, they're big seeds, they don't move around. So what you do is you get your layer of dirt and then you take it and you just swish it over to the sides, okay? The smaller seeds move around when you move the dirt. So you cannot do this with the smaller seeds, but any of your bigger seeds, yes, you can. Okay? I would suggest if you have a bin that has dirt in it, cover your bin when you're putting your seeds in, because if your seeds get into your bin, they will grow.
Your soil.
Your soil, yeah, your soil bin. If your seeds happen to fall into your soil bin, they will grow. And what happens is when you plant another tray, you don't realize it, and all of a sudden you have a wheatgrass growing out of your broccoli.
Plus it's also contamination.
It is.
So you try and be really thorough.
So you really do need to keep, once you've got your dirt in your trays, you need to close your bin and don't take the dirt from here and throw it back into your dirt bin. If it's on your table, it's dead. It's gone. So then we go back over here. Take my water again. Now if I was doing this, I'm doing the 1 tray just for the video. I would have 4 trays done and watering them all at one time, but I'm just doing 1 tray for the video. The dirt is on top. It's a really thin layer. Big seeds like peas, you'll see them right away. The wheatgrass, you may not. When you take your cover off, this cover, a lot of times the seeds, when they're growing, will push the dirt up. All you do is water that dirt back down into it and everything's good. So again, watering, same thing. You just spray it in. I try to clean the sides off as I go. As you can see right here, the seeds have come up. Not a big deal, okay? Because it is a really thin layer, you're going to have that. It's just to help with germination, mold, and just overall health of your plant. See, again, the seeds are starting to peek through, which is okay. That's okay, you can let them do that. And into the center we go. And you wash that down really good, okay? You want, at this point, because you're covering new seeds and you don't necessarily have to water every single day when you do this, and your seeds need to be kept really moist, okay? These are already sprouted, but you really, really saturate this. And like Rob pointed out before, if you have, like, this is a 1-inch tray, so and we put it into a 2-inch tray, so it does leave a gap, all right? And if there's too much water, the water will run through to the bottom tray, and it will not, it actually helps keep the top tray moist for germination process because of the humidity levels, but it doesn't sit in the water because the water goes through to the bottom tray. You can check it, and if there's too much water in the bottom tray, you just dump it out. Down the drain it goes.
You also learn by looking at how much is in the bottom tray to kind of gauge your watering practices, so you can actually dial in and get to know over time if you're underwatering or overwatering. Because if you do what Sandra does and you have absolutely no water in there, maybe step it up just a little bit.
If you do what I do.
Well, you water it and there's a little bit that comes through to the bottom. So you know you're saturating, it's going right through.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have any dry spots, is what I'm getting at.
Mm-hmm.
If you've got a lot of water in the bottom, maybe cut back a little bit. And just, less water's better, because then, that's what this is all about. It's
Okay, so, sorry Rob to cut you off, but at this stage, this is germination stage. Water is vital. You don't want it to sit in a bucket of water, but you do need to keep them wet and moist. So this doesn't look like a lot comes out, but a lot comes out in this, okay? And you can see the water pooling, which is fine. And I'm going to tell you that that's probably enough, just as Rob said from experience. You lift it, it feels heavy, and if you would like to see the inside, there's no water, but this tray I'm holding is really heavy.
It's just starting to drip through.
Is it?
Yeah.
And that little bit of dripping isn't going to hurt anything, but I know that this tray is nice and heavy, so there's lots of water. At this stage, I take the shiny side of my top, turn it over, and again, there is a little, you may get some styrofoam in it. Styrofoam's not going to hurt your plant. Styrofoam only emits toxins when it's heated. Example, you can't put styrofoam in your microwave because it emits toxins. It doesn't do any harm to anything when it's like this.
You can drink out of a styrofoam cup.
You can, and even a cup of coffee. So it has to be a really high temperature for it to do any harm to anything.
We put the reflective side down
Because it
keeps the moisture and the temperature ideal, we think.
Well, because
Which helps in germination.
part of covering your seed, okay, I'm pretty new at the microgreen scene, but I have been growing things for many years. I've had an outside garden. I am an avid indoor plant grower. I have grown many things. I grew an apple tree from a seed out of an apple. Okay, so I've been growing for many years, and the idea is when you're a germination stage, the germination stage actually emits some heat all on its own because there's a chemical reaction happening in the soil from the plant growing. It's providing and producing life. Okay, so by putting the cellophane to the plant, or the shiny side to the plant, it actually puts the heat back into the tray that the tray is emitting. It's not emitting a lot of heat, but it is emitting some. So then we take a weight tray. Excuse me for a minute. we take a tray. I use Ziploc bags with water that I've weighed on a scale. Some people use bricks. I find this is a nice, I can get exactly 10 pounds, 7 pounds, whatever I want. That's a 10-pound bag. I put it in a black tray, place it on top, and that's my 10-pound weight. Chris and Curtis use a 10-pound weight. Some people just use the weight of another tray. But yeah, so this one here is a 10-pound bag of water, and you know what? If it spills, no harm done. It just gets dumped down the drain. And I reuse it. It's a clean solution. And that's my wheatgrass. That'll be ready to go. It'll be ready to take the top off in probably no more than 2 days.
Okay, everyone. Thank you.